And here we are. Welcome back. My name is Shelly Harrison, and you're watching Luminary Leaders Live. And actually, I need to set up my show here because there we go. We have to put all those bells and whistles on. I have a great guest today, and I hope that you will stick around because we are talking to the Master Connector. And this show is being streamed on multiple platforms, so you can catch it after the show. You can catch it now if you have time. We hope that you do. We want to hear all your questions for our guest today. You see him next to me. This is Spiro. And I was afraid that I was going to mince that up. And he gave me an analogy of how he pronounces his last name. So, Steve, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, Shelly. And it wouldn't be a show if I didn't say, hey, what's going on, friends? It's Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. I got to say that. So
I know, right? And you have your own shows. So you're the master of this, doing shows and really getting people hyped up. And I want to start with, you are a master connector, and we connected a few months back. And I was just so impressed with the way that you're down to earth, you're easygoing, you're friendly. And I'm sure that you have a whole system for what you do to connect people. But let's talk about that. What made you the Master Connector?
Well, Shelly, I hope you will indulge me on helping me go back to my previous history, a little bit of my backstory, because I was born and raised in the Bronx, shy, introverted, picked on, bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic. So not anybody that would ever be, I could ever see as the Master Connector at any point, right? My dad had a liquor store, owned one in New York City. I was in the family business. Dissuaded me from going into that. I went into advertising marketing, went to high school and college for that. Got out of college, couldn't get a job to start a company. So as a 22, 23-year-old businessman, and then in New York City, I had an office in New York City in advertising. And then parallel to that, so I was training the martial arts since '83. I hold a couple black belts. My wife happens to be a black belt as well, so that's crazy.
That is, a lot of dedication too.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from the martial arts, for sure, in terms of discipline and focus and work ethic and overcoming obstacles and all that. But anyway, even through all that, I still was this introverted guy that, I'd rather, in the martial arts, I'd rather hit you than relate to you. And but actually, no, I was not, not violent in any way. That's not what I mean. But I lived my life in a box, in a shell. And at one point, at the tail end of my advertising career, I was introduced to a good friend of mine. I was working with advertising at the time, to a very successful entrepreneur who took me under his wing, took on a mentoring role with me, got me on a path of self-development, books and audios and networking. And so in all this, the shift in what I was thinking about doing, the economy shifted in the advertising world, and I was eventually just pivoted out of it. But he got me on this path of, and challenged me to meet 3 different strangers every day, and started to do that, which was an experience unto itself. And then I got on. Yeah. In 2008, I got on LinkedIn. I started growing a network there. And today, 18,000 contacts on my phone and 24,000 LinkedIn connections. And it's crazy. But the Master Connector, we could dig into that later. But the name, the brand, if you will, it's a personal brand. It's not a business, if you will. But that represents a lot of things. But today, I'm referred to as the Master Connector, and I really enjoy it. And that's a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, and I know you're a mentor, you're a go-giver, and also the host of the Master Connector show. And I watched a couple of your episodes, just a few minutes of each, because I want to get a little flavor. And you don't seem like an introvert anymore, because of what you do. And, the power of meeting people and just really embracing new friendships and relationships with business people. Yeah. And I think, just when we first met, and I reached out to you just very organically, and you immediately replied, and that was through LinkedIn. And let's talk about LinkedIn, because I think that in itself, and you mentioned you have about 24,000 plus followers. How does one do that? And how do you really cultivate your connections?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's very organic, and I'm regularly on there connecting with people. I use the LinkedIn. LinkedIn has, you may know those suggestions, and I'll do some of that. Or if I'm going through the news feed and I see somebody that's got a post that seems interesting, I'll connect with them, and people connect with me like you did, and so that's, I mean, it just grows. At one point, LinkedIn was allowing you to kind of connect with a lot of people at once, and then they kind of start to shut it down where you can only connect to 120 or so people a week or whatever, locking you down. So I've done some of the, the more heavier connecting, because I know there's credibility in having a large network. There's also credibility when you reach out to a CEO, and 16 of his you have 16 mutual connections, including maybe 7 or 8 of his colleagues, or people that he knows that are also CEOs. There's credibility there, and he's like, okay, maybe I should connect with this young man or whatever, right? So there's credibility having a large network. I started to grow it, but in terms of staying in touch, LinkedIn is great in that it has lots of tools, free tools. I've dabbled back and forth with Navigator and paying for it, but I don't pay for it now. But the tools that they give free is, hey, congrats on your job change, happy work anniversary, congrats on your promotion, and happy birthday. And so I click the button, and when I get a response back, I'll message people with, hey, we should jump on a call. Anyone that connects with me. So if you go ahead and connect with me, I warn you right now, you're going to get a message, hey, let's jump on a call. Because I feel like, why would you bother connecting with somebody if you don't know anything about them? To me, it's just it's not, it's not just growing numbers, it's connection. So not everybody says yes to that, but I want to connect with them and get on a call with them to have a real connection. Being connected with somebody in their social media, is just, that's not true connection.
And it's not, and what I look at is, when people that have, I would say, more than maybe 15,000 connections, do those folks really, and this is something that you can, it sounds like you definitely engage with your audience, but do those folks really take the time to comment on others people's posts? Because I think that's where, the real magic happens, when you show support to other people publicly, where I know a lot of those messages go in to your inbox. So when it's, when you're engaging on LinkedIn, I think it really gets that kind of that rhythm going, where you think, gosh, I'm getting to know this person a little bit better. And, that's where it could lead to a Zoom meeting or Zoom coffee, or however you want to put that, or a call, depending on where they are in the world. So don't you think engagement is really important too, when it comes to really showing, besides the birthdays and all of that, that what they're posting is important?
Sure. And I got to be honest, I'm not as great with that. I know I should be better at that. Yeah, but
I didn't want to call you out or anything.
No, it's okay. I mean, but I'm putting out content every single day, and I'm putting out content that I believe it will add value for people. So I believe that people should see that I care because of what I'm putting out, and it's not a self-focused thing. So I believe that there's still value. And then when I do, reach out to people to connect with them or whatever, there's a receptivity, because especially when they get to know me. It's funny. I've had people, in fact, I just got a text from this young man just today. And he and I had a conversation, and he said, I got to be honest with you, when you reached out to me, it might've been a year ago, I don't remember. He said, I was pretty skeptical. And I don't know what he was skeptical about. What am I going to reach through the screen and grab him, kill him, grab his money out of his pocket? I don't know what there was skepticism about, but I guess trying to figure out my motive, right? And there's a lot of pitching out there. I heard the phrase, I don't like to be pitch slapped. Pitch slapped.
Yes. I heard that on your show too.
G version, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. So, and then he said to me just recently, just the other day, he said, I after seeing your content, and I could, I'm not skeptical anymore. I see that you're just a genuinely good person that cares and just wants to help people. So yeah, again, I could be better about, getting being supportive of people's content. When you have 24,000 connections and there's a lot of content coming at you, it's hard to, I don't have a VA. It's all me. It's all completely on me. And I do have other endeavors, that keep me busy 40 hours at least a week, at least.
Yeah.
So if I'm just on there, commenting, I'm probably not going to be productive at all.
Exactly. And that's such a great point, because I think too, it takes a lot of responsibility. When you have that big of an audience, I think, there are definitely things that, that you're already doing, like, saying happy birthday and congratulations on the anniversary, or, whatever is coming through there. And I think, just what you're doing and in connecting people, it's important to make authentic connections. And I see you doing that. And I hear, just different things that you've been doing. And let's talk about that. So in addition to, what you do with being the master connector, what other endeavors do you want to share that you're working on?
Sure. So I do automation. I'm a consultant. I do business automation consulting. I help companies streamline and automate how they communicate and connect with their clients, leveraging artificial intelligence. It's been a lot of fun. After I got into advertising, I got out of that into the copier industry on the evolutionary scale below the chimpanzee and the orangutan as the copier salesman. So I was in that for a little while.
Oh my gosh.
And then eventually pivoted out of that into the consulting work that I do today. But that's been fun. I have some entrepreneurial projects. The mentoring that you spoke about,
yes.
the relationship that I've had, I have a mentor in my life, and I've known him for many years, and I had to fight. I had to stalk him, if you will, to get him, convince him to work with me and to mentor me. And he doesn't charge me, but we work together on business projects where there's a win-win relationship there, and there's a sort of accountability to it, and there's a context to it, right? Mentorship from afar, I call it, is kind of not so great. I mean, I'd like to say useless, but I'm sure there's value, but it's not so great. That would be like if you were in sports and your coach, your football coach, never saw you on the playing field, never saw you in the weight room. How would he coach you, right? It's impossible. And
that's a great
mentorship
point.
from afar is like that. So having the ability to work with him on some projects has been great, and there's real context there. It's not theoretical mentorship; it's true mentorship.
Yeah,
So
and that's
what I've done is, I've paid that forward in some cases, but like he did with me, I make people, I put them through the ringer to earn that, because I'm not charging for it. I'm not a coach. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I do.
So hence, that's why you're a go-giver, right? And you're paying it forward with people that you truly see that you want to help and support and give some guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have 4 pillars to the talks I do, 4 pillars to our show, which, by the way, you brought that up, right? The Master Connector Show, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesdays. When this is aired, it'll be our 100. Just today was our 108th episode. So it's fun. Our pillars of the show, of my talk, and I have a book coming out at some point soon. The same 4 pillars.
Congratulations!
Right?
Wow, that's
Thank you. But the first pillar is, in no particular order, is connecting authentically, right? The ability to just sort of lead with those vulnerabilities, and just, as you noticed when I introduced myself, I talked about how I was shy and introverted. I don't mind talking about that. I've gotten peace with the hangups I've had as a younger person. So one is authentic connection. Second is being that go-giver, being others focused. It took years for me to get to a place where I felt comfortable enough in my skin to not have to worry about me, and now I could focus on other people, right? Just like they say, when you're in an airplane, and you got to put your mask on first before you help others. So you got to get whole first before you can help other people. And it took a while for me to be whole. Third is having to overcome obstacles, and that a lot of the martial arts helped with a lot of that. But I mean, being bullied and, just being dyslexic and learning disabled and all those things, I've learned how to use those challenges and turn them into assets.
Right? Yes. And Oh, go ahead. And the 4th pillar. Yeah.
4th pillar, just real quick, you ask what you want to. But the 4th is growing community and building connections, right? That's the 4th pillar. And that's sort of we kind of on when we started the conversation. In that, I mean, again, in my case, a big focus is LinkedIn, but I'm meeting people out and about all the time, and I'll walk up to somebody at a gas station or at a supermarket or at a, and when you're from New York, if you talk to strangers, they want to kill you. They want to,
I haven't been there, but I've heard about it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because when I go to the South, it's so opposite. You meet somebody you never met before, you have a 3, 4, 5 minute conversation, and they're like, hey, y'all should come over for dinner tonight.
Yeah, for dinner, pie.
And it's so,
oh gosh.
So different from New York, right?
It is, yeah, as it is here in California. I'm in California, and we're a diverse pool here, and it's just a lot of people, and I'm sure in New York too. And but I kind of want to go back to because I'm sure that there are people that are watching, that will watch this episode, where bullying, and here you are, you're a grown man, you have this past of the bullying, and like you said, you had some things that you had to deal with at a young age. What would you recommend, Steve, for young kids, maybe parents who are watching that are struggling with their kids? What would you recommend for them, or even for the kids?
There's so many things that I could say, and I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, a therapist. I did some of that coming up, but some things that helped me along the way. I really believe martial arts is a great thing. I really do. Not to make you overly aggressive, but to give you confidence, and that definitely I used when I was in the arts. And I'm a sort of short guy. I'm 5'7", not the biggest frame, and so
that's still good height. Yeah.
I went up against guys that were like 6 foot and
oh god, yeah,
twice my weight, and it was intimidating. But I used I visualized the people that used to bully me as a kid, and I used that to kind of strengthen me, and created some anger in me to kind of give me the courage to go forward. So the martial arts, I believe, is a really good thing. Self-development. If I could go back into talk to my younger self, I would have said 3 things. I'd say, go ahead and get into self-development. Read books, self-development books, not the 50 Shades of Grey books, but
darn.
Yeah. But and it'll help your self-esteem. It'll help you with knowing how to start conversations. And I feel like because of all the books I've read, when I go into a room, I feel like the room's going to be better because I'm in there. That's how I feel because of all the things I put into this noggin of mine, Yeah. So that's another thing. Getting a mentor in your life, I think, is extremely important, because I think that's, you could see what you need to change a little bit, but somebody else could see it a lot better, right? There's something called the Johari window panes, the 4 window panes, right? And one of those window panes is what you know about me and I know about me. I got a big forehead. Okay, that's an obvious thing, right? Second is what you know about me and I don't. That's my blind spots. Third is, in no particular order, is what I know about me, but you don't. That's my sort of secrets, okay? Nothing bad, horrible, but just, we all have little things. And then the fourth is what I don't know about me and you don't know about me. And that's the great unknown. That's the mystery. That's your potential. I'm
exactly
big man upstairs, God, higher power, whatever you want to call it. I call him God. But I believe that there, and you have all that potential. And so a mentor helps with those 2 panes, which is the blind spots and the potential side. And that's super key to have a mentor in your life. It's like a GPS. I mean, I remember back in the day, I'm old enough to remember the old Hangstrom maps that you would have to drive around in. And when you try to find yourself around, and that was well before MapQuest.
Are you talking about Thomas guides? I had a conversation. Yeah, they were called Tom. Well, we had Thomas.
Depending on where you're from, maybe it was a northeast thing.
Yeah, who knows?
But anyway,
probably the same
there
thing.
were books. There was a book
books that you had to put on your front seat to try and figure out, or highlight.
And I put them on my wheel while I'm trying to drive, and it was not very helpful. So, but mentor is having somebody like that could really guide you. So those are just some things. If I had to go back, self-development, get a mentor, and then really the other, and martial arts is a great one too, but just really start to understand, come up with a purpose, right? A big change for me was when and this happened just before COVID, where I created a life purpose, a mission statement for myself.
You
And that
did.
helped a
So
lot
do we
as
get to
well.
hear it? Do we get to hear it?
Sure. I don't have it memorized, which is not good. I
That's
should have it
okay. That's
memorized,
okay.
but I could pull it up. I don't know if I don't want to waste valuable time while we're here, but I could. Here it is. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I'll tell you. Sure, why not? I mentioned it, might as well. So it reads as such: help free the captives held down by the chains of financial bondage, addiction, and hopelessness, along with the endless trap of seeking after the flesh. And instead of pursuing those dark things, help them to have a new life and hope by leading them to a positive, uplifting, morally sound environment, which is led by
Wow.
principle-based servant leaders where they can earn mentorship from people who have the right fruit on the tree.
Now that would be hard to memorize, although that is very inspirational. And so you really wrote out what your kind of your life's purpose is, just to get out there and really, what I hear is that you really want to help other people and, just make them aware of what is possible.
What I've learned, Shelley, is that true success is not how much money you make
Mhm.
or how many things you have
That's
or what
right.
career or title. It's how many people are better off because you were here. That's what I've learned success
Yeah.
is. And the more I've become others focused and go out and help people, the more I feel better about me. When I used to be others focused, I'd sit in front of the TV. I'd eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. My favorite is butter
Oh,
pecan. In fact,
but it
I think it's a
oh,
pint because
pecan
the
pecan.
pint is smaller than it used to be. So maybe it's a
They
pint, not a
are.
pint.
Even the gallons have gotten smaller. Have you
It's
noticed?
just, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I would sit and I did that 2-3 times a week back day and
Mm.
I'm on weight and it felt so good, but afterwards it felt so bad. And that was the kind of analogy to kind of me being self-focused. And then,
Mhm.
I work out now every day. I have a spin bike, I do push-ups, do like 180 push-ups,
Oh
180
my
sit-ups. It's
goodness.
crazy.
So you're
Every day
very motivated.
in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I dread doing not dread, but I have to push myself to do it. It's not fun, but
It's
afterwards I feel great. And
yeah,
that's
it
how
does feel
being
great
other
after.
focused is. For
Mhm.
me as an introvert, right? Maybe I'm an extroverted introvert or introverted extrovert, whatever they call it, but I still
Yeah.
have to push myself. But
I
I feel
agree.
great when I
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah, I have you ever heard of The Miracle Morning? It's by Hal
I have.
Elrod. And
Yeah, I
oh
haven't
my
read that book
goodness,
yet.
my coach actually recommended that I read that book, and it's
Yeah.
transformed my life. I every morning I get up with, where I do personal development, the exercise, I do reading, meditation, all of those things, and it really does help to have
It's
when you
amazing.
get up in the morning and you really get yourself going. And I would imagine the exercise you're doing, my goodness, you're doing some pretty heavy lifting, just different types of things that you're
And like
doing.
you, I have, I
Physically
start with prayer, and then there's
yeah.
stretching and meditation and self-talk and creative visualization and there's a whole
Affirmations. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and exactly, and gratitude. I have a gratitude. So there's a whole list of things I do
List
every
of
morning.
things. But
Yeah,
it makes you feel
spiritual
good and it
reading.
gets your
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
And it gets your morning going and it kind of sets the foundation for the whole
sets the
day.
tone.
Really,
That's right.
really. Well, I want to take a quick moment to recognize our sponsor. We want to thank Dan Leonard with Endeavor Mortgage. He is a great guy and here in Seal Beach, California. So, Endeavor Mortgage, we want to thank you for your sponsorship and Dan Leonard. And back to you, Steve. So, we've talked about a lot of different things, and I'd love to just have you share, what is next for you? What's next?
Yeah, I mean, so ultimately, my goal, everything I do in my life, the show that we have, everything that I'm doing, is really designed to. I love one of my passions is travel. My wife and I love traveling. We've gone to
Oh,
a lot
where
of
have you guys
places, but
traveled
my
to?
goal.
Where,
Oh, we've
where
been
have
to
you
Hawaii.
traveled?
I know that's Hawaii is like probably like
I
like a
love
little hot
Hawaii.
for you guys when you're in on the West Coast. But Hawaii, we've been to Europe, we've been to the Caribbean, we've been to South
Oh,
America. We've had some incredible trips. Everyone has its own little story. But the goal
mhm.
is to eventually be, travel the world, speak and inspire and be a beacon of light. And so everything that I'm doing is really for that. So that's really the goal. And yeah,
I love
That's
that beacon of
that.
light, and
Yeah.
as you know, my company represents speakers. So, let's talk about, as far as, and I know we only have a few minutes left, but I would love to talk about, what sets you apart, Steve, when you are out there talking all over, the country. What sets you apart from the other speakers out there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure that there's a lot of overlap, but number one, I consider myself an inspirational speaker. I don't call myself a motivational speaker. So there's a
Mhm.
little subtlety there, a subtle difference. But I believe the fact that from my background and where I was, and the fact that I love to talk about authenticity, and the fact that one of my signature talks is, in our weakness, there's power. And I love to
Oh,
speak about that. And yeah, and I was so
our
weak. I had more
weaknesses.
insecurities, more hangups than the phone company. And then the ability to now, get out of that and have powerful connections and be powerfully confident. So I believe that I could really help people that are in a darker place like I was, perhaps maybe introverted, and help inspire them to get out of that comfort zone and get out of that shell and to be the best version that they could be. And I believe that, and I have the tools that I've used that I believe I can impart in them as well, versus getting them jazzed up for today, and then they're all dressed up in a desert. They've got a tuxedo on in a desert. Okay, now what?
Oh, oh my
You know?
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that, that visual, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So it sounds like, you are one of those inspirational speakers, and really it takes a true, I don't even know the word for it, but to be inspirational and be able to inspire other people, it takes a lot of, humbleness and just, authenticity. And I know that you have that. And I could just see it in the way that you carry yourself. And, we appreciate that you're out there doing that and being a beacon of light, because I think there's a lot of people that, since we've come out of the pandemic, for the most part, things have changed. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of people are, really trying to find their purpose and better understand, what now? What do I do now? And I know, you have done quite a bit, to really get yourself out there and show people that you really do want to just help and mentor. And how can people find you? Because I'm sure they're going to want to find you and learn more.
I'm going to answer that, but I just got to say one thing. With your beautiful background and the name, the luminary, the light piece of it, and I want to just say this. I had this experience where I was at a conference, and they turned all the lights out except for the exit sign, and they had somebody on the front stage have a candle, and everyone had candles, but they weren't lit, and they lit the one
Yeah.
candle, and he had lit two or three other people on the stage, and then by the time it was like a minute and a half left, a minute and a half later, the whole place was lit up because all the candles were
Oh,
lit.
I just
And
got the
when you light,
chills.
yeah,
Wow.
when you
That
light
is.
somebody's candle, you're not
Mhm.
diminishing yours. And so my goal is to be that light, and hopefully, and it's a dark world. This is dark. We have a
Yeah,
lot of stuff
can
going
be.
on, but
We do.
if I could pass that torch and light somebody's candle, and then they can light it, I think we're going to be in a better place. So that's
Mhm.
my mission. That's a big part of my life. And looking at your background and the
Oh,
word luminary leaders,
thank
I
you.
just want to reiterate that. To answer your question,
Well, well, thank you so much,
SteveSpiro.com.
Stephen. You just lit my candle. So we're going to pass it on to all of our people that have watched today, that are going to listen to this program. And, again, thank you so much for being here. I think, just keep up the great work, because I know
Thank you.
out on stage, it's not easy, and getting up there and just, really making a difference is what we need right now for, really anywhere in the world. So good luck to you on your journey and on all of your travels. And thank you for sharing your greatness with us today on Luminary Leaders. And we want to thank our sponsor, Endeavor Mortgage, Dan Leonard, with the Seal Beach location in California. And we want to thank our audience for tuning in today. And we'll be putting this out on all of the platforms. We were streaming on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and there definitely you're going to want to watch this. You want to watch all of our episodes, but especially this one today, because I think, Steve really gave some great information about just being able to connect. He is a master connector, and he's authentically connecting with people all over the world, and including me. So I appreciate that. And Steve, thanks again. And we want to thank our audience one last time, and we will catch y'all next time.
It was an honor. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Steve.